Hello, geometry students. Welcome to Rigid Motions. We're in our last packet on rigid motions. We're joined by Usher today. Request from one of my classes. Feel free to send requests at any point. We are on page 4. So excited about hearing from Usher. And today we're going to look at a sequence of isometric transformations. What does that mean? Oh boy, let's break it down. A sequence means more than one. Usually it's two. Give you guys a hint. Isometric, you guys, and this is old news to you, is a rigid motion, right? And a transformation, well, we've really learned 4 transformations. We have our friends, the reflection, like that could be a reflection about the x-axis, a rotation, which usually happens about the origin at some degree, or our third, a translation, which usually is an x and a y point. We also have a dilation. We're going to cover that in a whole nother unit, but really it's this guy, and this guy. So if we look at quad QRST and quad PLKJ, so what I want to point out to you guys is that these letters are put in order and purpose. If I look at Q matches with P. R matches with L. I don't want to shock you guys, but what do you think is going to happen with S now? S is going to match with K. And then, last but not least, T is going to match with J. Those are on purpose. It's named that way on purpose. And if you didn't name it that way, you would actually be wrong, okay? So it's asking if these map onto one another. So we want to try to find 2 or 3 things, aka things, reflection, rotation, translation, that will move one guy to the other. So one, by the power of the iPad, I can sort of fill this in. And what's nice, and you guys don't have an iPad like this, but you do have something equally as amazing called our patty paper. So you can just sort of take a second and see, all right, I see this blue point. I want these blue points. I want these points to line up. Well, but then I might have to flip it to get it there. So it looks like what we might be looking at is some sort of movement here, and then definitely some sort of flipping so we can get these points to line up. But if you look below on your paper, we're going to sort of break this down a little bit. This is where we're starting. This is our pre-image. And this is our image. Okay, how do we get from one to the other? Well, there's a couple ways. First thing that we already noted was that, hey, in order for us to get to T to turn into J, let me just make sure that's right. Yep. We're going to have to flip these. So in order to get those to flip over, what I'm going to do is start by just reflecting over the x-axis. And then you guys will notice that's the first thing I did. Now when I reflect, I'm not just reflecting one point, I'm going to reflect the S, the R, and the Q so that I have all new points. Then I notice that this point here, Q to P, again, I find it helpful just to stick with one point. So maybe we started with this point. How do I get T to become J? Well, I could draw a vector here. Or I could say to myself, I have to count over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 to the right, and then down 1, 2, 3. So when I move like that, that is a translation. So my first step is a reflection and then a translation. Okay, now, I think this picture is exactly the same, but that would be sort of the process you go through, is you look and see how do I get from one to the other. Now, there are usually more than one way to do these problems. So what I want to do is, and I know sometimes we do this, I'm going to actually have you go back to page 3 and look at example 4. Okay, so again, first thing we need to think about is I want to make sure these points match up. So again, we're on page 3. We went back to number 4. Here's A, and it looks like it is at a right angle, and here's Z. So again, trace with your patty paper. And actually, I'm going to make A a different color. And you could even, you know, on your patty paper, write the letters so you can see them. I'm going to turn these. Well, that doesn't look quite right, right? So maybe I need to actually go the other way. It's not going to be a translation. But it does look like I want the slanty side here. So maybe I have to sort of rotate it this way. And then in order to get the A to line up with a Y, remember? We want the A to line up with a Z. Maybe I have to do some sort of like reflection to get it to flip. Okay, so you want to sort of do that process on your own with your patty paper. So far, and I'm not sure, but I'm thinking we're going to have to do some sort of rotation and some sort of reflection. So how are we actually going to do this? Well, let's start by doing the rotation part, okay? So remember, if you're using your patty paper, oh, you know what, guys, let me just start over this. Okay, so I'm going to do my little cross here. Okay. Right, and now I'm gonna rotate and see how much it takes me to rotate. So make sure my little cross is right there on the origin. Okay, just make sure that it lands nicely for you guys. Okay, so does everyone see that was a rotation? Now we went which way? So this is the part that can be tricky. So we did a rotation about the origin, and we went to the right. So the right is going to be -90. So -90 degrees. Okay, so we're rotating about the origin, -90 degrees. Now, what are we doing to reflect? So let's just check. 1, 2, 1, 2. A little darker color. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. Now, here's the part that's tricky. You want to make sure C matches up with R. There is no R in this graph, guys. Uh-oh. I think this was supposed to be an X, so change your notes, guys. I'm sorry. Z matches up with A, that's right. And B matches up with Y. Yeah, I think actually our notes are wrong here, so guys, sorry. Can everyone change this to triangle X? I'm sorry. Change this to Z, Y, X. Okay? So that's going to be a reflection over, this is the Y-axis. Right? So in order to have that happen, we could also write it this way. Okay, questions on that, guys? Well, this is a video, so you can't really... Oh, so our final answer. That's what I forgot. So our final answer, and if we want to write this with our little bubble, our composition, and actually, I don't even know if I'd worry about doing the bubble right now, guys. Let's just write the two things. 1, we're going to do rotation about the origin of -90. And then our second step is going to be reflection about the y-axis. Okay, so very quickly, guys, if we look at page 5, which we're going to ask you to today, how are we going to do this? Really easy. ABCD is congruent to HJKL. A has to match up with H. JK, which is right here in the middle, has to match up with the other two in the middle. B, C. Okay? And then same thing here. Look at these letters, and then if the picture helps, like it helps me to see, C matches up with K. I didn't ask you guys that one, but just so you know. Right? So B is going to match up with J. Okay? All right. And then here, I want you guys to draw a picture. Try that one. Same thing here, okay? Is that if these triangles are congruent to each other, so if AB is right here, DE, so AB is here, DE is right here, those have to be the same measurement. Right? BC at the end and EF at the end and then AC. So just be careful. Let me clear this off. So if we look here, here's A, here's C. Do you see how they're sort of sandwiched? That's going to match with D and F. So this is 7.6 centimeters. Okay, so you can use those to sort of help you match things up. So try page 5, and then we also want you to try number 5 on page 6 as well. Okay, hope you guys have a super day. Thanks for all your hard work, All Stars, and we'll talk to you soon.